Hello again. Um, so yeah, my name is Sam. Welcome to the channel. I mean, I guess this is just what we're doing. This is new territory for me, so bear with me through some of the growing pains and stuff. But, yesterday I made a video about not knowing who, and that was on my Instagram, which I can leave a link to somewhere on this page. Again, I don't know. This is all new for me. But, I'm recently I left my job, kind of allowing myself the ability to recreate my life, right? Kind of forgoing who I was in the past and stepping into one that feels more authentic. And what I said in that video was, I feel like I'm not the best at anything. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I have this life of experiences, right? This very packed 25, turning 26 in June, 26 years, right? Of loss and sorrow and joy and creation and loss, but I'm not the best at anything specifically, right? Like, I'm not the best. I can engineer music. I'm not the best engineer. I can play the guitar. I'm not the best guitarist. I can rap. Not the best rapper. And all this is fine. Like, that's not a bad thing innately. But I was unsure of what step to take. And so I created a YouTube video that will be out prior to this one, just like, where am I at, man? Like, what's some of the story, and like, why am I experiencing such a drastic shift in my life? And, and even though I'm not the best at anything, I know that there's something that I can deliver to the world that will help, right? That this vision I have of unity on planet Earth and ascending as a species, through God, is not one it's not really spoken about. I mean, I know that there are individuals of us that are understanding what is going on at a molecular, but also kind of at a cosmic level, and why we're here on this planet, and the time that we have, and how short and fleeting it is, and how beautiful this current snapshot, the hourglass of time, how beautiful it is. And not to go on a tangent or anything, but I wasn't sure, if I'm not the best at anything, I can't make money off of it. And then I realized that's the wrong frame. It's, Sam, how can you deliver any sort of message that will hit a person where they're at when they need it? And through God, right? Like, praying that this connects with the right people when they need it. That's it. That's all I can do, dude. The rest is in God's hands, man. Like, am I stressed? I mean, sure, dude. Like, we live in a 3D fucking, I gotta pay my bills. But I'm not gonna stress about the delivery of what I'm not going to worry about the delivery of what am I trying to say? I'm not worried about the delivery that will then create a more abundant third dimensional space for me, because that's just not where I operate from anyway. So why the fuck am I even thinking about that? And funny enough, not even a few hours later, right? Like, I was just kind of tinkering. I did a bunch of playing guitar. I did a bunch of, like, I love playing. So I played a bit, I read a bit, I watched Endgame, and there was a quote there, and I can't remember what it was. I'd have to do some digging. Stand by, please. Everyone fails at who they're supposed to be, Thor. A measure of a person, of a hero, is how well they succeed at being who they are. And I'm like going through this whole experience, and I had smoked a little weed, and like, I'm separating myself from substances, but that's been a real sanctity, safe place for me for a long time. And I'm like stunned. I'm watching that moment. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. That is literally what I'm looking for. Everyone fails at who they're supposed to be. I was supposed to be a highly successful enterprise AI data and AI account executive. I was supposed to be a rapper. I was supposed to be, you want to go all the way back, I was supposed to be a Division I lacrosse player who attended Cornell and then went to law school. I'm supposed to be a prophet, whatever. Instead, I'm just going to be who I am. And funny enough, right as I make that video, right, I'm going through this transfer, I'm watching Endgame, and my life is shifting so quickly. And you can't, I'm not witnessing it, but I'm feeling the shift. And my buddy calls me. This is my best friend, one of them. I'm not close with a ton of people anymore, but when I am really close with someone, I'm really, really close with them. And you know, he's experiencing himself through the lens of, why can't I break this specific chapter, cipher, right? Like this specific lesson, you know, whatever. Why am I just in the same fucking thing over and over? And one is the lesson, but another one that I've found, right, and this is kind of where shit starts to get cool, right, is you might know what you need to do. You might know how to do it. You might have, you know, all the information you need to make the correct choice. But unfortunately, it's not on your mind to create the choice. It's on your body. And I will make a greater video about this, which is called The Riff, which is, and I've got I'm gonna start doing like a book, like a good book to read through all of these. Right, like what's a good book for what this like specific video is, because you'll any person who comes across any of the content I make, you know, you'll find it on your own anyway. But if I can help, there's great literature. It might not be the book you're expecting, but it's a good one. I've got Marcus Aurelius's Meditations here, which is just, anybody should read that. But the body is going to dictate our ability to recreate and create stories around our past, present, and future. And I'll tell you why. The body is the map of your experiences. Now the body, right, although flesh and blood, is brilliantly wired through your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system to notify us of a couple things, right? And there's three main stages. There's the like I call it the shutdown, and I'm gonna get these all wrong, but I call it shutdown, safe and secure and social, and like fight or flight. And unfortunately, if we haven't created the space, so like think of life as like these up and downs, right? So we experience highs and the lows, and maybe we're feeling good for a little bit, and then something will happen, and maybe like, oh, my boss sent that email, or you know, my girlfriend broke up with me. But your nervous system will remain within the boundaries of itself for as long as it's needed to, because this is what has worked to keep you alive, motherfucker, to keep you alive, right? And it's brilliant for that. However, what the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems have told us is that through triggers, we are recreating a somatic body experience in each moment. Okay. That means that on the anniversary of my buddy's death, when I have fucking full-on fight or flight experience and there's nothing going on, the body is remembering when I found out that he had passed. And, you know, for better or for worse, that means that those same experiences that I'm having are going to be recreated regardless of how I adjust to them. So the first step, right, in creating a shift in our lives and in ourselves does not stem from any behavior we're going to make, because the body doesn't know. The body doesn't know shit. Same way the mind doesn't know shit, right? Like, we're just eternal spiritual beings with a soul that's like, fucking running amok, right? And this is where we see this discipline piece kind of come in through some of these philosophical, you know, how can we be disciplined? And it's not discipline of anything. It's discipline for yourself and of God through then to create a new story. And how do we do that? We have to notice this. We have to consciously remap ourselves. Now, I know this seems really difficult. It's actually really simple when you get down to it. Now, I am not a somatic experiencing therapist. I am not, you know, like I'm not in any way certified, but I have done a significant amount of work in my own life, both through therapy and journaling, creating, all of these physically going deep, meditating, fasting to experience what my body is experiencing in these moments. And I'll give you an example. And then how do we remap it to create a new story? Okay. It's also parts work, internal family systems. All of that stuff is coming into play here. I'm going to bypass all of that strictly to get through the meat and potatoes of what this is, okay? So here's an example. There was a time in my life where I was in fight or flight mode majority, if not all of the time. I quit the basketball team that I was very good at. Could have been a Division III basketball player, believe it or not, which is fun. I love basketball. But I had quit the basketball team. I was heavily self-medicating. My parents' relationship was in the shitter. Wasn't sure what I was going to do for school. And looking, even talking about it, like I noticed that a flare-up occurs. Now, it's going to look differently for everybody, but how my body experiences anxiety is it feels very similarly to like how I would imagine the venom webbing. Like very hot. It's not black. It's kind of more of a blue electrical sensation where it feels like that like hot, webby, venomy kind of growth right here is my anxiety. And if I can just notice it, right? If I can just sit with it. One, if it's really uncomfortable, I don't have to sit there, right? I can allow my mind, my body a little bit of birth just to experience it. But when I can be curious of it, open the space for that. Okay, what do I notice about it? Well, I know that when I bring attention to it, it tends to mellow. Okay. And I know that, what's the story behind what part of me kind of comes up? What's the story? What's the theme? What's the moment that creates this thing? And I noticed that specifically for that moment and that point in my life, it was the feeling of being unsafe. I didn't feel safe. And if we are feeling unsafe, that's gonna sneak in to every aspect of your life moving forward. If we're unsafe, how are we gonna make a cognitive, very aware decision of what the next step is gonna be? You might have all the information, but we're unsafe, bro. We gotta fucking, are we boxing or what are we doing? And so through that, right, when I can remap it and I can go, that was then. And this is when higher self comes into play, right? We call upon our higher self. We call upon the Most High. We call upon these things and we go, this is not my reality anymore. I have a roof over my head, warm coffee. I have access to water, right? Like we're going very fundamental with it, but this is kind of like you want to make change in your life. We have to start at the most fundamental levels, which is with the body and the mind. So again, like I am safe. Now, there are certain moments where we're unsafe and the body will handle those things for us, but I'm safe. And this is what I'm saying to myself, right? I'm safe. That's not me anymore. I can eat food. I can provide for myself. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how I'm going to make money in the next little while, but I'm not worried about that because I'm safe. And I know that I'm always going to be okay. I'm going to keep living, motherfucker. Guarantee that. That's choice, but that's a different conversation. Right? So even in it, do you feel the energy of like, oh, I'm unsafe too. Now I'm safe. And I can just tell the body, thank you. We've got it from here. And I'm very grateful for the parts of myself that kept me alive when I was unsafe, when I didn't have a clear image, when I was younger and struggling as a teenager and having these experiences with psychedelics that nobody could explain to me, right? And my parents and it's just this fucking... My phone ran out of storage. I apologize. So this is just gonna look a little different. I gotta find. I think I actually have a camera, but I'm very grateful. I have to go again to my body and myself and my mind, and I have to just be thank you for getting me through that. But this is not the story we're writing anymore. And the new story is whatever I, in alignment with God, want it to be. Now, again, ordinarily we're doing this in meditation, but you can just do this with yourself, man. Just write out stuff. And we'll start with small triggers. Like we don't have to go to the time that dad put you through a wall, right? We're not going to start there. And again, like that was anyway, it happened. But as we remap completely the nervous system to create a broader spectrum, right? Because once we recreate a single story, we've gone from this is how much we can handle. This is overflow to now we're here. And that's a lot of room for us to make decisions that are guided with our mind and body moving forward, right? So now we've created the space and holding space for ourselves to be new, to be different. It's fucking, people are like, I know it sounds really basic, but it's like, dude, this is the key to all of the shits, bro. And I found it out last night when my buddy Ben, well, I don't want to give names, but my buddy of mine, you know, like he is great at showing it, but he's not great at showing how much people mean to him. Same way I'm not. And, you know, he said, he's just like, dude, you just hold space for people. And I was like, fuck, like I almost started crying. I was like, dude, that's like it's my mission here is to just try to be there for people. Now within boundaries, right? Like I can't save everyone. But this is where it shifts, is how do I take some of this knowledge I have and kind of move it in a direction that could help someone else alter their life. And again, like maybe it's privilege that or whatever, and maybe it's the fact that I was in a position where I could experience so much. I don't know. None of that shit matters because that's all past storytelling. Right now I have this moment, and in this moment when something is triggered, I am capable of rewiring that to a new reality, a new timeline, bro. And this, like, people from a cosmic level, dude, enough of the advice, you know? Enough of the advice, because what worked for me isn't going to work for you. I'm giving you a window into understanding your own sympathetic mapping. And if you listen to what I'm saying, I'm kind of giving you the whole book. And it's not about me, but it is about how can we create these things so that other people can alter their lives and then you can do the same for someone else. Right? I'm not bringing in massive amounts of esoteric and heretic philosophy. I'm not bringing in all of the scripture. Honestly, it's really important to understand what the fuck is going on in the world through the lens of spirituality and through the lens of that, but most people you don't need that. For a long time, and I'll back up a little bit, right, because it helps to create this lens of, for a long time, the biggest higher power I had in my life was me. I know it sounds super ego-based, but it was my highest self in connection with God allowing this remapping to occur. When we sit in these spaces, man, it's just like you do have that, and everything you ever needed is right with you. And the reason that we're not taught this, and this will be probably the next video I make around the riff, is being versus doing. When I am safe, I can do things that are safe, but when my body is experiencing myself as unsafe, I am going to do things that are unsafe. The mapping for this comes from the moment that you're born. When you're cold and you're on that hospital fucking cold ass metal thing before you get the wrap and you start screaming, and all of a sudden, because you do something, because you're born, you don't know shit about it. You're a baby. How are you supposed to know? This is nobody's fault, but this is just what people don't teach us. Is that the minute that stimulation happens, right, and you scream out to the world, immediately you get a warm blanket in your mother's bosom. If that's not blatantly showing you how evolution and the way we do things has altered it, in the past, that baby would scream and wail until it was done screaming and wailing. They'd keep the baby outside, wrap the baby up, whatever, but the baby's going to keep screaming until the baby is calmed and aware of its, like, right? Native American, like anyway, sorry, I get excited. This stuff is like cool, and I'm really proud of myself for creating this kind of stuff, because this is really where my life has been headed for a while. Anyway, when we have that stimulation, we've already created the idea that we are not safe. And that stems into our life. We cope with certain mechanisms, right? And now the feeling of being unsafe also coincides with the feeling of shame. You're not comfortable with who you are. How are you going to be comfortable if you're not safe? And if you're not comfortable, then you're not going to like who you see in the mirror. And if you don't like who you see in the mirror, you're going to make decisions around escaping. Dude, I wrote that fucking book. I tried to escape so much. I took LSD almost on a daily basis because that dimension became more okay. The chaotic hecticness of that dimension became more okay than my base reality. That's a problem. But anyway, and again, I've remapped all of these things. I can go to that. I can turn on the fry. You know what I'm saying? Again, I've integrated well with it. But so that's the first step. I need you to bring awareness to what your nervous system is telling you. And I promise that as I create more of these videos, these will get better. And the lessons will get deeper and deeper. But this is just the first step in unblocking, right? Consciously unblocking. And through that, when we listen to our body, right? And I'll give you one more little kind of story time of how this kind of relates. Is for a long time I had known that the job that I was doing was not in alignment with who I am. For a long time. And my nervous system I hadn't done enough work to create the space for my nervous system to truly experience what had been happening and to listen to it, to listen to my body. And then I started doing more and more work. But the shame and then the sabotage that comes with living a life that you know isn't authentic is scary. It's dangerous. It's scary and it's dark and you don't know which way to go. And you're unsure of directions, and then you have these spikes and you notice that things are wrong, and deep down at the most fundamental basis of yourself, you know these things are incorrect. That's why these OnlyFans girls are fucked. Sorry, but deep down you're gonna know that shit is not like, really? Of course, because your soul is eternal. Your soul knows. We all know, right? But we choose not to listen to it, and we don't have the skills to listen to it. So this is what was happening to me. And then the other day, right? It's like the straw that broke the camel's back things. Now 20x it, because we're actually listening to our body, which is the goal here, to unblock, to create that self-confidence of when we do listen to our body, right? There was a moment. My experience with my boss was one that was very different. I don't engage in the professional corporate world well, right? Like I'm a hippie. I like music. I don't understand in any way. Like something happened, and immediately my nervous system went, we have to be. It was the most, dude, I've been in fights. I've performed on stages. I've competed in sporting events, right? Like name an adrenaline fueled moment, right? Thousands of people opening for Bone Thugs and Harmony as a white dude in Billings, Montana. Cortisol through the roof. Didn't even come close to the fucking signaling that my body had given me, not only in tremors, but through a very cathartic, visceral leave. You need to be done. And when I listened, right, when I just got up, I didn't say a word. I just got up. I wrote an email. Again, not very business professional of me, but authentic to self. And when that happened and I walked out the door, over the last 3 days, I cannot explain to you. Actually, I can try to. The sensation of self-confidence and belief that I have in myself following a very intense moment, right? I could have chosen to not, like, oh, whatever, it's just a thing, whatever, I'll be back at work the next day. And I went, no, I need to listen to this. My body is telling me something. What's it telling me? Fight or flight was activated. Now, maybe in that moment I don't need to fight or flight, but when we have that, I can just listen to it. And I listened. And over the last 3 days, dude, the sense of clarity, peace, like, again, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't have fucking $20,000 a month rolling in. You know what I mean? I got a couple paychecks that I can put towards rent. But that's where this is like, I believe in myself to make the right decision. I believe in myself because I did. I finally made that choice because I had done the work to allow my nervous system to guide me, right? Through mind. Like my mind would have said, whatever, would have made a story around what was happening. Kind of get what I'm saying? And instead, when I just listened, dude, boom, self-confidence. Now we're off to the races. Now, can affirmations help? Absolutely. Dude, I'll probably do a whole nother tangent around creating self-confidence in a physical sense, right? Like how do we get energetic and magnetic as we walk through a space? How are we, like, highly recommend if you've never read it, How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the best books of the 20th and 21st century. I don't even remember when it was fucking written. I don't know. Fucking clearly I'm off my rocker. Who cares? Read that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But back to what I was talking about. And then I will wrap this up because I know this is a bit of a longer one. But when we create self-confidence through belief in ourselves and our bodies and just thanking our body, like giving yourself like a real hug, you know what I mean? Like, thank you, like truly thank you. Like, thank you for showing me where I needed to transcend. And when we do that, dude, the world becomes your oyster. And I'm experiencing it live, dude. Again, there's no, like, chills, dude. There's no moment that will beat the moment where you are yourself, truly. But to get there, it takes a lot of work. We got to do this, they call it unwinding. Oh, that was a book. Oh, no. Reworking. I don't know. But anyway, we've got to work back through all this gunk, the lies and stories that we have been told and created about ourselves and about our bodies. And how do we really connect with these things, you know? And so that's my hope. My hope is that more people can remap their nervous system and then create the space where they don't feel like they're going to have to self-sabotage because they're afraid. So again, a couple books here for you. If you've gotten to the end of this is the good stuff. How to Win Friends and Influence People from a Physical Confidence Basis. Look into somatic healing. There's a bunch of great resources on the internet. I will let you do that. That's your journey. I can offer some resources, but again, like, this is all kind of just, this is going to be on you. You will figure it out if this is an alignment, if this hits a nerve, whatever. And then the other book that I think everybody should start to read and will make a lot more, if you do read this book stop what you're doing, go buy this book and read it, and it'll give you a good fundamental basis for the spiritual shit we get into here in like a video or two, is Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. And if you're not going to read that because you're not a Buddhist, whatever, you don't like necessarily like Eastern philosophies, The Power of One. Okay, so start there. I'm going to be dropping these hopefully on a daily basis, and more to come. But let's just start by remapping the nervous system. Okay.